Welcome to Living Your Path. I am Cecile Ferry, a coach and astrologer. I'm here to guide you on how to live and work in alignment with your true self so you can find fulfillment and serenity. Hello, my beautiful friend. I am so glad to be here today, and we are going to talk about the astrology of 2025. So if you're kind of a newbie to astrology, don't freak out. It's going to be easy. It's going to be simple. I'm going to make it really digestible for you so that you can learn things and that hopefully you are excited about what's to come. So thank you for your patience as I took some time to get to this episode this month. I may have mentioned my last one. I took a short trip to Thailand. It was a good week ago and it was beautiful. And I just wanted to say it here because it was kind of a last minute addition. I would not normally have had really a break, but it was so needed. So if you are starting the year and feeling like, ooh, you're not in the best place, I highly recommend you take a couple of days. And also, it's not about how long you're going to be away and exactly where you will be going. It's more about who you're going to be with and what you will be doing. So I have personally really experienced that being with the right person for even a short period of time, doing the right kind of activities that energize me, is just like the best combination. So you don't need that long. But I just hope that you had that over the Christmas break. And if you didn't, I highly recommend you do that over the next few months as a matter of priority, because you need to be in a good place for the year to go ahead to really turn to your advantage. I'm going to talk about all the astrological transits that are happening. But if you are feeling really tired, if you're feeling low, if you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling frustrated, if you still are carrying things from last year, and especially if your energy isn't really where you want it to be, it's going to be really difficult to take advantage of all the opportunities coming your way this year. So I just wanted to preface today's episode with that, because some of you listening may be in need of that break. And I know it's not always easy and it costs money, but I'm sure you can find a way, and that is going to give to yourself in 2025. Okay, so today we are talking about what is going on in the sky with the planets this year. You may already have heard, because I'm definitely not the first astrologer to come out with the news. I'm probably amongst the last ones, but the beauty of it is I could listen and read about everything that everybody else has already published, and I'm going to bring you a very top line version here. I don't want to get into every detail because we'll be here for hours, and I don't think you need to know all of that in January. So I'm going to give you the top lines here, and then I always put more details, more insight into my newsletter, which I send about once a month, maybe twice, and also on my Instagram. So if you would like to keep in touch, highly recommend you sign up for my newsletter. I will put the link in the show note, and or that you follow me on Instagram at Living Your Path. All right, so I'm going to get into this year. Just another caveat that I wanted to say before we get started is actually two of them. My number one is what I'm going to talk about is going to feel very general, because the application of what I'm saying to you really depends on your birth chart or your natal chart. So if you're like, I'm going to describe the event that are going to happen to everybody, but how that's going to affect you directly, I can't tell, because we need to look at your birth chart. So what I'm saying to you today is best used in conjunction with your birth chart. If you haven't got your birth chart, this is a really good idea to get a birth chart reading done as early as you can in the year, because especially if you do it with me, I give you a copy of your chart. And then ongoingly, you can go and check things for yourself. So I'll be referencing different signs where the planets are moving, and you can go and check your own chart so you know how it will apply to you. So that's pretty cool. So anyway, if you're thinking you need some directions this year, like a birth chart reading is the best way to start. I'll put the link in the show note, but you can go on my website, cecilferry.com/astrology, and you can find the details and you can book there. All you need is your date of birth, time of birth, and place of birth. And then I do all the work and I deliver it to you. So that is highly, highly interesting, insightful. It's, I would say, all the way to magical for some people, that experience. So highly recommend you start the year with that if you haven't got it. Now, that was caveat number 1. Caveat number 2, and then we'll get cracking, is that I'm going to talk about energies and changes and how that is going to be felt by you. Is going to be very unique and a personal situation. And I don't control any of that. What I'm saying here is it is in a way up to you what is going to happen because the energies are there. That's what I'm talking about today. But, you know, you have free will. So if you choose not to face what's coming up, if you choose to avoid things because they are too uncomfortable, if you choose to have an easier year because you're too exhausted to deal with that, or if you choose to embrace what's coming at you and maybe the shocks or the changes that are coming, or the new opportunities, the new ideas that are coming, like that is entirely up to you how you navigate those energies. I'm just going to describe what they are, but that doesn't mean everyone will have the same year. Everyone will feel it the same way. That is really your journey. Okay, so it's like I give you the map, but how fast you drive on those roads, what you look at when you're driving, if you follow my metaphor, if you stop, if you recap, you know, if you refuel on the way, all those things will affect your journey and the destination, as in where you'll be at the end of the year. So you're all traveling on the same road, but how you're traveling really depends on you. And, you know, those of you that have got some habits that support your personal growth, that support your health, and also support your spiritual dimension, will get a lot more out of this year. Okay, so I just wanted to set the scene that way, and then I'm going to get into this year. Just as a headline. So you're like, what's this year about? Because maybe you felt like 2024 was pretty big. I don't know you, but I think if I look back, I think since 2020, all the years have felt pretty big and have felt pretty challenging. And I felt personally that the growth has not stopped. So maybe you're like, maybe it's me too. And can we have a breather? Can we have a holiday? And the news flash here is actually 2024 was quieter, astrologically speaking, than what we're going to see this year. So this year is busy in terms of astrological movements and significance. It's a pretty big year, astrologically speaking, which means lots of opportunities to shift and change things and to grow in your life. That's what I'm really excited about. And 2026 will be the same. Okay, so what am I talking about? We'll still have the same movement of the sun and all the new moons and full moons, and we'll still have eclipses. I'll talk a bit about that. So that we get every year, no change. So what are we having on top of this? The main call out, which you may have heard about, is that we have some pretty big planets making some pretty big moves. So let me, as I said to you, this is going to be nice and easy to understand. We do have the planet, we call them outer planets because they're further away and therefore they move slower and they therefore impact us quite a lot because we feel the energy in the same spot for a longer period of time. So we have Saturn moving this year. We have Uranus and Neptune. When I say moving, they are changing zodiac sign. So when they're in a zodiac sign, it kind of gives us a flavor. It's like a season for that planet. When they change sign, new season, new air, new music, new everything. It's like the planet gets different outfits, change of costume. So a different kind of expression. And it's a pretty big deal because those planets, they change sign at different frequency. Actually, I will tell you. Saturn changes sign every 2.5 years. So reasonably frequent, not a lot. But our friend Uranus changes sign every 7 years and Neptune every 14 years. And if I can just add to that, just at the end of last year, we had Pluto changing sign, and that's every 20 years. So you can even bundle that into this year. But so we've got those planets, and they're all changing sign within a couple of weeks of each other, and it normally doesn't happen often at all. And it's like boom, boom, boom happening, okay? And the fact that they're big outer planets means that is going to mean the beginning of new cycle for everybody. It's only going to be the beginning this year, tiny, tiny beginning, because then they will have 2.5 years, 7 years, or 14 years to unfold that way, if that makes sense. So what this year is about is the transition. We are going to feel it. There's going to be some big shift because those planets, it's like they're changing gears. It's like you just click your fingers and there's a new energy. And just to make it a little extra tricky, we don't just have a transition into a new sign, but those planets will go retrograde, which means they're going to go quote unquote backwards. They're going to slow down and they're actually going to, on the zodiac belt, go backwards. So they're going to go back kind of some of the way that they came from. So it's kind of like, to keep it really simple and down to earth, they're going to venture in next door. They're going to discover and really experience a different flavor. It's like going into a new home, walking in, staying for a couple of nights, and then getting back out into your life. And sitting there for a while and learning all the lessons. And then towards the end of this year, they will make their way again towards those new signs. You follow me? I hope I haven't lost you. Planets do that. So if you know about astrology, you won't be familiar with that. They kind of go forward and then go backwards and then go forward again for good. That's how they change sign. So this year we have 3 planets doing this little dance. Forward, then backwards, then forward again. Fun, hey? So we're going to feel that. I don't know how that's going to feel, especially times 3 planets, because we've had Pluto doing that on its own, and that was really over quite a few months. So it was like 1 year it went forward, and then the following year it went backwards, and then at the end of the year it went forward. So we had nearly a whole year in each position. Well, those guys, it's going to be a few months. So if you do feel like things are shifting and changing and maybe things are a little blurry, a little dizzy, like hang on to your hat. So I think that's the main thing I wanted to say about this year. It's a big transition globally for humanity and probably in your life too. We'll talk more about that. And it's going to feel like forward and backwards. So we have to dance with that and we have to stay with it. And we're going to feel also that it's happening all pretty fast. This year there is a pace, believe me, happening up there. And we're going to have the opportunity or the pressure to keep up, whichever way you want to see it. So for me as an astrologer, I'm really excited because I love transit. I love when things change, when things move. Even if they go forwards and backwards, it's like, yay, but new things. New feelings, new energies. So for me, give me that any time of the year rather than just flat, a planet staying in the same sign. That's very boring. So we have the right opposite of that this year. It's not boring, but it might feel a little rocky. It might feel a little disorienting for some of us, but I'll guide you through it. All right? Let me get a bit more into some details this year. Okay, I'm gonna go chronologically as much as I can. I won't give you dates because who cares? You can find them all online, and I will remind you during the year. So the first one actually already happened, but it's still very relevant because it's for the next 18 months. It started just 2 weeks ago, mid-January. We changed nodal axis. I talked about that in my newsletter as well. So the nodal axis, to keep it simple, changes every 18 months. It's a pair of opposing sides of the zodiac. And it's basically linked to the movement of the moon, to keep it simple. And it's where the eclipses happen each year. So, and it's where the north node and the south nodes are in the sky. They points, they call lunar nodes, the south and north. And they move very slowly throughout the year. And so every 18 months, they end up changing sign. And the north node is opposite the south node, as it sounds like. So one in one sign, one in the opposite sign, okay? You try to get the picture of it. So that's moving around the circle of the zodiac belt like that. So we have been in Aries Libra axis for the last 18 months, and we had quite a lot of eclipses in there, and we've been learning so many things about relationship. And Aries versus Libra is me versus we, is, you know, how do we collaborate with others and really build diplomacy and harmony, but whilst also having what we need ourselves and being assertive. So this may have been the themes in your life in the last 18 months. So different themes. Now the nodes have shifted into Pisces and Virgo. So the north node, which is the good one, if you want to remember, the north node is where you want to move towards. It's your destiny. It's like your North Star, really. Is in Pisces, and the south node is in Virgo. So what does this all mean? It means that globally, like, we have energy and lessons and learnings, like, collectively, that will make us improve in the north node where Pisces is, and will make us leave behind some not so great things that are linked to Virgo in the south node. What am I talking about? On one front, we are going to be led to be more empathic, that's Pisces, have more compassion, and grow our spiritual connection or our connection with the universe. Pisces is very much about connecting with what's out there. And also it's about, you know, surrendering and namely surrendering our anxiety. You know, those of us that like to control, that like to know, like, if you embrace Pisces energy, you let yourself be carried through. You let it happen, you trust, you go with the flow. And it's also about being more accepting of yourself and other people. All that spirituality, I think, is going to get bigger in the world, or for yourself. I think anxiety is going to go down, which I happily would welcome in the world. I think practices like meditation are going to be really important. So if you're feeling called to cultivate those qualities in your life, answer the call, because that is happening for a reason. And so that's Pisces. And the south node is in Virgo. So that's about leaving behind things like over-analysis, over-worrying, being very critical of other people or ourselves, fault-finding, blaming. In other words, letting behind the victim mentality. Perfectionism is a big one. I'm personally excited if we can lower the rates of perfectionism in the world, including with myself. So I'm looking forward to that. And all the things that have to do with order, but in a compulsive, you know, needy sort of way, or being inflexible. So, in other words, less control, more flow. And so the eclipses will happen around the nodes, and that's karmic. That signals big changes each time. I'll just cover that now. There will be 2 eclipses in March and 2 eclipses in September. In March, one is Virgo Pisces axis. The second one is still on the old axis. Don't ask me why the universe does that. But then the two in September are also on the Pisces Virgo axis. And final note on this, if you are a Virgo person or a Pisces person, you were born during those months, your sun sign is that, or if also your moon sign or rising sign, if you know them, fall in Virgo or Pisces. Or also if you have your birth chart and you know where the north node and south nodes are in your birth chart, and if they fall in Virgo or Pisces, all of those people are going to feel things this year more intensely, especially the eclipse. It's double dose. That's me. I have my south node in Pisces. It's actually reversed for me, and north node in Virgo. So I am so ready for the lessons. It's not going to be fun, but eclipses are going to be big for me. Okay? So that's the first thing. I spent a bit of time because I think it's good. I think humanity could do with more compassion, more meditation, more letting go and trusting, and less control, less worry, less anxiety, criticism and perfectionism. Thank you very much. What else is happening? In March to mid-April, we have 6 weeks during which we have Venus retrograde. So the planet of love, relationships, and finances will go really slow. So don't think, oh no, that means a bad period for my finances or my love life. Not mandatorily. It's more a period of reflection, of reassessment, and it's more like the energy is really turned inwards to you. So it will be a rich, interesting period where you're going to be learning a lot about yourself in those areas of your life. But it's not a period where there will be lots of action. So if you're single, hoping to meet someone, probably not going to happen around that time, I would say. But it's nevertheless a really interesting period to reflect. So I'll talk about it in the podcast later. But that happens every sort of 2.5 years. So we're due for one this year. So there will be that phase of inward projection, reflection, reassessment about love and finances. And then we are going to see those big planet changing signs. So in a snapshot, Neptune first goes into Aries. Sits in Pisces now, which is the last sign of the zodiac. And it's like they're clocking over. They're starting over. So enters Aries on the 30th of March. Neptune is all about spiritual connection, like all those Pisces themes I just talked about. But in Aries, there's more action. So we're likely to take charge of our own spirituality, chasing our own dreams, and finding our own answers. It's really a new beginning for us personally as human beings. And I think there will be a lot more confidence and empowerment coming from it. Yay for that. We just have to be mindful of our boundaries, because that can be the tricky thing with Neptune. So that's the first planet. And then late May, Saturn is also moving into Aries and just ends up sticking around Neptune, and they kind of move along together. And those two together makes things becoming really real, because Neptune is the dream, Saturn is the making it real, tangible, like making it happen with proper foundation. So if you put the two together, it's a really good combination, and they'll end up really meeting in 2026. So what that means around that time is we'll have the opportunity to act more in alignment with our higher self. Higher self Neptune, Saturn is about action and maturity. So this is really good, I think, for everyone. And also a new kind of leadership. So based more on those values of compassion and empathy and spirituality, which should be a really nice change after the very dominating Capricorn energy we've had before. And then in June we have Jupiter changing sign. It's, I won't say not a big deal, it is. I'll talk more about it, but it changes sign every year. But then in July, the last of the big one, Uranus is moving into Gemini. And that means there's going to be a big surge in the pace of innovation, technological breakthrough, big changes in communications, in transport, in science, anything intellectual and brainy and a bit complex. Watch also for changes in the media, maybe social media, in education. So that is just like going to just explode, I think, from July when Uranus goes in there. Uranus is just like shockwaves and it loves being in Gemini. So it will be there for 14 years, but we're just going to see the beginning of it. So see, first half, all those planets just kind of make the move across to a different sign and we're going to feel it. So we had that during the first half, as I said, which is pretty intense. There's lots of dynamism, lots of change happening. The second half of the year, not as much. It will have a different pace. So I can hear some of you like sighing with relief. So it's kind of going backwards the other way, right? For the second half of the year in September, Saturn starts retrograding back into Pisces. In October, Neptune does the same, goes backwards into Pisces. And in November, Uranus goes backwards out of Gemini into Taurus, where it has been for the last 14 years. So you'd be like, oh, so what's the big deal? Well, the thing is, because we would have had a couple of months into the new signs, we would have felt new things. And usually, especially as they cross into the new sign, and they tend to be things that happen really around that time. Then, there's 14 years for Uranus or 7 years for Neptune for things to unfold. It doesn't mean it's going to be non-stop during that time. But I would say in my experience, early on, we see some stuff happening. So by going backwards, we have the opportunity to rest up a bit, catch our breath, and integrate the learnings from the first half. Because imagine if it would just kept on going, like it will feel intense to keep up, like I said. So we get a little bit of respite and it goes back to what's more familiar, what we have found for quite a few years now. So a slower second half, minus obviously the 2 eclipses in September. That will be in Virgo and Pisces. So if you do want to know how those eclipses will affect you, if you do want to know what those big changes from, Neptune, Saturn, and Uranus into those new signs mean for you personally, well, I need to look at your birth chart to answer that, because you will have a part of your chart where those planets will be and move into. And so it's very different. Like for me, they are going to really transition through my 4th house, which is my house of home and family. So that's where Aries is for me. So I know there will be changes happening. And I can tell you later in the year, right? But I love that I know. And so if you want to know for yourself, you need to book yourself a birth chart reading in the first place. And then if you've had a birth chart reading with me already and you want to know about those existing transits, send me a DM and I will set something up for you. I don't currently sell a transit reading because I want to do more birth chart first for everybody. But I add that one day for everyone. But you can. Just know you can if you have had a reading already. If you know your birth chart, very happy to do a transit reading for you. But I have something for everyone here too that I wanted to mention, which is my new 2025 personalized moon calendar. So if you're new to astrology, if you want to start a bit smaller because you're like, whoa, those planet thing is too much. But you do like following the moon because you've noticed it, you like it, and you're interested to learn more. I have designed a beautiful PDF calendar where I will give you every single new moon and full moon that happens this year, and including those that are eclipses. I give you the date, where they're happening, and I can tell you which part of your life they are going to affect. How? Let's not get into that. That's my jam. I know the tech bit, leave that to me. But how that works, you go on my website to order it. I will put the link in the show notes. It's really affordable. You give me your time of birth, date of birth, place of birth. So I need your chart in order to do this. And then I will map out every new moon and full moon for you. And I will tell you which houses they're going to hit. And don't worry, there's lots of explanation as part of the calendar that you can read that explain everything to you, what each of those houses mean, whether it's a full moon or a new moon. In other words, it's a really nice guide to know what's going to happen for you based on the lunar cycles this year and the new moon and full moon. So you can anticipate and you can understand why you feel the way that you do around the full moon and the new moon, and also what is likely to be changing in your life then. So if that speaks to you, go and check it out. It's at cecileferry.com/mooncalendar. And if you order it, I will send it to you within 2 business days. I've been doing it all of last week, and I know there's some people are very excited. And we have a new moon next week, the 29th. So you may want it for that. Otherwise, you have the rest of the year on there too. All right, my friend. That's what I had for you today. I hope it wasn't too much information. I hope that you've managed to understand the bigger picture, because that was my goal today. We can talk more. You can DM me on Instagram. I will answer. Just, there's no silly question, all right? I would love to be part of your astrological journey in 2025. You can go on my website, you can check it out, you can book your birth chart reading, you can book a career reading if that where you need some answers, and you can order your moon calendar. So these are tools for you. And other than that, just, keep following along. Send me any questions that you have, any topic that you want me to cover this year. Would love to do that. And I'm not going to just talk astrology. I have plenty more things to share with you. We're going to talk about intuition. We're going to talk about alignment. I'm going to release new things for you. So stay tuned. It's going to be an exciting year. And I personally wish you a really exciting transition time this year in your life. And I'm here to support you with coaching, whether it's career coaching or personal coaching, as you go through those changes. You don't have to do it all alone. All right, my friend, take care, and I will speak with you very soon. Bye, everyone.